Hi, my name is Adam, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about solutions to really annoying problems in our life, like noise, annoying neighbors, and things of this matter. So if you're sensitive, if you're empathic, if you get really frustrated and irritated by just life situations that you don't know what to do about, this video is definitely going to be for you. I'm going to be talking about kind of how to discern between when to do something, when not to do something, and what we can do to shift our perception if there's no action to be taken. So stay tuned. So ever since I was a little kid, I was just extremely sensitive to everything, to noise, to people's energy. When I was a little kid and we would go to baseball games, we had season tickets to the Dodgers, and every time the crowd would stand up to cheer, it would drive me nuts. And I used to ask my mom, I'd be like, "Will you please tell them to stop yelling?" As if she was going to tell all of Dodger Stadium to sit down and be quiet because I couldn't hear my music. When we'd go to carnivals and balloons would pop, it would kind of set me into shock. I don't know if anyone here relates to this, but if you do, I totally get it. To this day, I've done a lot of work on my body and my nervous system. I'm really good at setting boundaries. I'm good at extricating myself from situations. I'm good at protecting my energy. But even still, I get bothered and irritated if I'm out and around too much stuff, or if there's a lot of loud noises, particularly at night. Like I can feel people's energy. I can feel the energy outside of my apartment sometimes, and it can really just get to me. I do the best that I can to kind of protect my energy and stay in my own space. I have a tendency to, just because I'm so sensitive to people's energy, to draw them in. They just seem to want to get really close to me. I will go stand in line. It drives me nuts. I will stand in line at a supermarket and people will walk in with a COVID mask on in 2023, which is fine. I don't have any judgment about that. If that's what makes you feel safe, great. But if you have a COVID mask on, then why are you touching me while we're in line? Because they do that. They'll have a COVID mask on and they'll be right up against me. And every time I try to move forward, they'll follow me. Can anyone relate? Can anybody relate to this? Does anybody have this issue? I will sit down at a bar, like a health food bar. There will be 10 open seats. I will sit all the way at the end. Someone will walk in and sit down right next to me. And it drives me crazy. And I get up and I move. I mean, I want to look at him and be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what the fuck is your problem? But I can't do that. So I just peacefully get up and leave. I manifested an apartment that I really love. It's a really good place, good energy in a good neighborhood. But the rub is there is a church right next door. Okay, now I don't have a problem with the church, but the church can be very, very noisy. So there's 2 windows, and both windows in my apartment look out at the playground. Okay, so in the morning, at recess, at lunch, after school, there's kids, running around yelling during school days, which isn't too bad because it's a very innocent energy, right? Sometimes though, at nighttime, it's really loud, or really early in the morning, and that's a pet peeve of mine because I can't sleep, and the church has parties sometimes. It rents the space out to film crews. So like at 4 a.m., certain mornings, there will be trucks that show up to set up craft services. I don't know if anyone can relate to the frustration of not being able to sleep when you need to. And the church is just trying to be of service. It's like I'm trying to be of service. It's like, but I'm trying to be of service too. And I need to go to bed and rest to do it. It's just one of those annoying things in 3D where just a number of people all trying to do good things, but they kind of bounce off each other in these really frustrating ways where we kind of interfere unintentionally. So a few mornings ago, it's 7 a.m., and I hear this loud truck just going beep, 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 beep. This guy gets out of his car, he's talking on the phone, just no awareness of the fact that the whole neighborhood's sleeping, right? And it's a Red Cross blood drive truck. So they're pulling in the truck, they're going to leave the truck on all day, and people are going to be coming in and out and in and out, which is really irritating. But I'm like, there's nothing I can do about this. So what I did was I did my best to change the narrative about what was happening. I was like, okay, maybe, somebody's mother, right, is going to need blood, in the next week or so. And someone from this church during this blood drive is going to donate blood that's going to save her life and give her more time with her kids or something, right? And that perspective helped me shift my thoughts, my emotions, calm down my nervous system, and kind of feel better about it. It was still really annoying, but it helped. So if you find yourself in scenarios where it's really noisy, you got really frustrating neighbors, what can you do about it? So there's really three things. First, the first thing is to cultivate discernment, right? Discernment is what allows you to know whether there's something to do externally or not, right? So like, for example, in this situation, there's not anything I can really do because nobody's doing anything wrong. Like if someone was making noise after 10 p.m. or when it's past like legal hours, then, you take an action. Like, for example, for me personally, like a few weeks ago, there were kids at like 10 p.m. outside the window, just like screaming for like a half hour. So I opened my window. I'm like, hey guys, please, can you please just keep it down? Because I don't know where their parents were or if their parents would have done anything or if they would, because most of the time the parents don't do anything. There's kids running around out there all the time, like exorcised demons, slapping each other in the face with glow sticks, screaming like maniacs, and parents don't say anything. Right, so that was an action I could take. So discernment. Can you do something? Can you not externally? 2, if you can't, look at the emotions. What is being triggered in you by the noise disturbance, right? Sometimes it's because it's so frustrating if you're sensitive on your nervous system. It just is that way. But sometimes it can be mitigated. Like, for example, for me, oftentimes when people are making a lot of noise in the neighborhood, I have a tendency to take it kind of personally. Like I almost feel like I'm being accosted, or like they're blatantly disregarding my privacy, which isn't true because they don't even know I'm here. And for example, for me, that comes from childhood. I mean, some of it just comes from being super sensitive, but a lot of it, the emotion comes from childhood because, there were a lot of times when I wanted to feel special and validated, and I didn't get that. And I always felt like I was wrong and in trouble and kind of being targeted. So the noise would prompt that feeling of like someone being out to get me particularly. So look at the emotions and where they come from. When we're very sensitive and empathic, we have a tendency to take things personally. And the reason for this, there's a few, but one of the reasons is because there's no boundaries in your energy field and in your body. So people's energy, noise, their fields, their thoughts come right into your space, and it feels like a violation because in a way it kind of is. One of the first steps to this, and I know it's not easy when you're hypersensitive, is to take ownership for your own body. The more you're in your body, the more you can ground into your body, kind of feel your feet, notice the sensations, the more you can start to separate other people's vibes from yours. That's a very important part of this whole thing. You're still going to be sensitive. Like if you're sensitive, you're sensitive. But a lot of times people who are empathic are kind of floaty. They're floating around all over the place. And so the energy kind of hits into your nervous system more. So how can you ground, right? What grounding exercises can you do? Just kind of noticing your body, feeling your feet on the floor, pushing on a table, and then kind of going back into your history a little bit, where there were times where your voice didn't matter, you weren't really able to say no. It's good to start to look at. Sometimes like these noisy people are prompts or triggers for the parts of you that don't think that you have a voice or validity. So that's another good thing to look at. Now, the third thing you can do is what I outlined earlier. Tell a different story about what's happening. How can you use your imagination to write a new narrative about the scenario that's taking place? Our minds are that powerful. It's hard to do if you have a lot of, activation in your nervous system, and you want to work with that the best that you can. But the new story, if you can really get into it and make it more about, something that's based in compassion, or seeing it from the other person's point of view, or just making up a scenario where, like I did, where it was more of a benevolent thing that was occurring, it will literally shift your thoughts and emotions into a more tolerant and compassionate space. Now, it's still going to be a little bit frustrating sometimes. If you're in a situation where there's a lot of noise consistently, it may not be the right place for you, and you might need to move. In which case, that's, you can feel in to your intuition, kind of ask questions repeatedly for like a couple weeks, like, is there something I need to do? Do I need to get out of this situation? And, feel into your gut. You'll get like a yes or a no, a really strong yes or a no, hopefully, if you're not in too much trauma. At least over time, you'll start to get answers. So anyway, I hope that helped. Please leave comments below. Please like and subscribe. And if you want to know a little bit more on how to make choices, or how to, like when you're faced with difficult choices, I have a video called Stressing Over Choices you can go back and watch. And until next time.